Right now, the universe is laying three distinct paths in front of you, and only one of them builds the kind of security that lasts through every season of your life. If you are a Capricorn, this message is arriving at a moment when choices are no longer something you can delay. The energy surrounding your sign right now is demanding clarity, and the decisions you make in the coming days will echo for months, maybe even years. This is not about luck. This is not about waiting for things to fall into place on their own. This is about understanding which option carries real weight and which ones are distractions dressed up as opportunities. You have likely been feeling a pull in more than one direction lately. Maybe it is a career shift, a financial decision, or a relationship crossroads. Whatever the specifics are, the pattern is the same: three roads, and the pressure to choose is building. What I want to share with you today goes far beyond surface-level advice. These are deep, grounded insights designed to help you see what is really happening beneath the noise. By the time you reach the end of this message, you will know exactly which option deserves your energy, and more importantly, why the other two keep showing up to test your resolve. So stay with me through every single section. Each one builds on the last, and the final pieces will tie everything together in a way that could genuinely shift how you move forward from this point on. Tip 1. The first thing you need to understand is that the universe does not present you with three options because it wants to confuse you. It presents three options because it is testing your alignment. Think about that for a moment. When you stand at a crossroads and every direction looks somewhat appealing, the real question is never which path is the best path. The real question is which path matches who you are actually becoming. Not who you were 5 years ago, not who other people expect you to be, but who you are growing into right now, in this very season of your life. Capricorn energy has always been about building. You are the architect of the zodiac, the one who understands that nothing meaningful is constructed overnight. But here is where many Capricorns get stuck. They build based on old blueprints. They follow plans that made sense a decade ago but no longer reflect the person standing here today. And so the first tip is deceptively simple but profoundly important. Before you evaluate any of the three options in front of you, take a full and honest inventory of who you are right now. Not who you wish you were, not who you think you should be, who you actually are at this moment. What do you value most today? What keeps you awake at night? Not with worry, but with genuine excitement. What would you build if no one was watching and no one would judge the result? These are not casual questions. These are the foundation questions that every lasting decision must be built upon. The reason so many people choose the wrong path at a crossroads is not because they lack intelligence or courage. It is because they skip this step entirely. They look outward at the options and try to evaluate them based on logic alone, without first checking whether their internal compass has shifted since the last time they made a major decision. For you as a Capricorn, this is especially critical right now. The planetary energy moving through your chart is literally rewiring your priorities. Things that used to matter deeply might feel less urgent. Things you once dismissed might suddenly feel essential. This is not confusion. This is evolution. And if you try to make a major choice without acknowledging that evolution, you will end up on a path that fits the old version of you, not the emerging one. So here is what I want you to do before anything else. Sit with yourself quietly, even if just for 15 minutes, and ask yourself this one question. If I could only keep three things in my life and everything else had to go, what would I keep? Your answer will tell you more about your current alignment than any external analysis ever could. And once you have that clarity, evaluating the three options in front of you becomes remarkably easier. Because suddenly, instead of comparing three equally confusing choices, you are measuring each one against a clear internal standard. The path that aligns with your three essentials is the path that builds real security. The others might build something, but it will always feel slightly off, slightly hollow, slightly like you are living someone else's blueprint instead of your own. Now, this foundation step matters more than you might realize, because what comes next depends entirely on how honest you are with yourself right here. Tip 2. Once you have taken that honest inventory of who you are right now, the second piece of the puzzle becomes visible. And it has everything to do with understanding what real security actually means. Most people define security in purely financial terms. A stable income, money in the bank, assets that hold value. And those things matter, of course they do. But if you are a Capricorn navigating a three-way crossroads right now, you need a much deeper definition of security, or you will make the wrong choice. Real security is not just about money. Real security is the feeling that you are standing on ground that cannot be shaken by external circumstances. It is knowing that no matter what happens in the economy, in your relationships, or in the world around you, you have an internal foundation strong enough to hold you steady. That kind of security comes from 3 pillars, and all 3 must be present for the structure to stand. The first pillar is emotional stability. This means you have done enough inner work to know yourself, to regulate your responses, and to move through difficulty without losing your sense of self. The second pillar is relational trust. This means you have at least a small circle of people who genuinely have your back, people whose loyalty is not conditional on your success or performance. The third pillar is purposeful direction. This means you wake up each day with a sense of why you are doing what you are doing, not just going through motions but moving towards something that feels meaningful and real. Now here is what makes this relevant to your current crossroads. When you look at your 3 options, one of them will strengthen all 3 of these pillars. One of them will strengthen maybe 1 or 2 but weaken the third. And one of them will look attractive on the surface but actually undermine the very foundations you need most. Your job is to figure out which is which. And the way you do that is not by running numbers or making lists, although those things can help. The way you do it is by imagining yourself 12 months down each path and asking yourself a brutally honest question. On this path, am I more whole or less whole than I am right now? More whole means all 3 pillars are intact and growing. Less whole means at least one pillar has started to crack under the weight of the choice. Capricorns are famous for their ability to endure hardship, and that is a genuine strength. But it can also become a trap, because your endurance means you can survive on a cracked foundation far longer than most people. You can push through years on a path that is slowly eroding your emotional health or your closest relationships, and you will keep performing at a high level the entire time. From the outside, it looks like everything is fine, but inside the cracks are spreading. And eventually, even a Capricorn runs out of structural integrity. The choice that builds real security is the choice that makes you stronger from the inside out, not just more successful on the surface. It is the choice where your emotional life, your relationships, and your sense of purpose all benefit, even if the external rewards are slower to arrive. That slower arrival is actually a sign you are on the right path, because real things take real time. And anything that promises instant security is almost always selling a version of stability that will not survive the first serious storm. Keep this 3-pillar test in mind as we continue, because the next section reveals the most common mistake Capricorns make when they think they have found the secure option. If what you're hearing feels accurate, imagine what could happen if you applied this energy intentionally for 21 consecutive days. That's exactly what the 21-day program in the pinned comment is built for. Daily guidance, focused direction, and real momentum. If you're tired of staying in the same cycle, this is your structure. Tip 3. Here is the mistake that catches more Capricorns than almost any other sign. And it is so subtle that you might not even recognize it when it is happening. The mistake is choosing the option that feels the most familiar and calling it the secure option. Familiarity and security are not the same thing. Let me say that again because it is that important. Familiarity and security are not the same thing. Your brain is wired to interpret familiar patterns as safe patterns. When something feels known, when you can predict the general shape of what is coming, your nervous system relaxes and tells you that this must be the right choice. But that relaxation is not wisdom. It is comfort. And comfort, while pleasant, is one of the most dangerous forces in decision-making because it disguises stagnation as stability. Think about the 3 options in front of you right now. There is very likely one option that feels the most comfortable. It might be staying in a current situation, continuing down a path you have already been walking, or choosing the route that looks most similar to what you have done before. That comfort is not a green light. It is a yellow one. It is telling you to slow down and examine more carefully, because the option that builds real security often feels slightly uncomfortable at first. It requires growth. It demands that you stretch beyond what you already know. It asks you to trust yourself in a new way, and that kind of trust does not feel safe in the beginning. Feels vulnerable. Feels uncertain. And for a Capricorn who has spent a lifetime building certainty, that vulnerability can feel like a threat when it is actually an invitation. Now, I am not saying the familiar option is always wrong. Sometimes the path you have been walking is genuinely the right path, and the temptation to change is the distraction. But here is how you tell the difference. If the familiar option is right, it will not just feel comfortable. It will also feel alive. There will be energy in it, a sense of forward motion, a feeling that there is still more to discover and more to build even on well-trodden ground. If the familiar option is just comfortable but does not feel alive, if it feels more like settling than building, then it is the wrong kind of security. It is the kind of security that slowly turns into a cage. And cages are comfortable too, until you realize you cannot leave. The option that builds real security might make your stomach flutter a little. It might keep you up at night not with anxiety, but with a strange mixture of excitement and nervousness that you cannot quite name. That feeling is not a warning sign. That feeling is your future self trying to get your attention. It is the part of you that has already grown beyond your current circumstances trying to pull the rest of you forward. Capricorn is a cardinal sign, which means at your core, you are an initiator. You are meant to start new chapters, to break new ground, to be the one who goes first. When you suppress that initiating energy in favor of mere comfort, you are working against your own nature. And anything built against your nature will eventually crumble, no matter how solid it looks on paper. So as you weigh your 3 options, pay very close attention to which one makes you feel alive, not just safe. The one that does both. That is your answer. And the next section will show you exactly how to test whether that aliveness is genuine or just the thrill of novelty in disguise. Tip 4. There is an important distinction between aliveness and novelty, and if you get these two confused, you will end up chasing shiny objects instead of building something lasting. Novelty is the excitement you feel when something is simply new. It is the rush of a fresh start, the honeymoon phase of a decision, the dopamine hit that comes from change itself rather than from the substance of what is changing. Aliveness is different. Aliveness is a deeper resonance, a feeling that something is not just new but genuinely right. It persists after the initial excitement fades. It grows stronger with familiarity rather than weaker. And most importantly, it connects to your core values rather than just your surface desires. Here is a practical way to tell the difference. When you feel drawn to one of your 3 options, ask yourself this: would I still want this if it were difficult? Would I still choose this path if it came with setbacks, delays, and moments of doubt? Would I still feel pulled toward it even if no one else understood or approved? If the answer is yes, that is aliveness. That is genuine alignment calling you forward. If the answer is that you want it only as long as it stays exciting and easy, that is novelty. And novelty-based decisions are the ones that fall apart 6 months down the road when the initial thrill wears off, and you are left standing on a foundation you never actually believed in. For Capricorn especially, this distinction matters enormously right now. The current energy around your sign is amplifying your desire for change, and that is legitimate. Real change is genuinely needed in certain areas of your life, but that amplified desire can also make novelty feel like destiny if you are not careful. Every new possibility will feel more charged than usual. Every fresh option will seem to glow with potential. And in that heightened state, it is easy to mistake the glow of newness for the light of genuine direction. The way to ground yourself is to use time as a filter. Real alignment does not fade with time. If you sit with an option for a week, 2 weeks, a month, and the pull toward it is still strong, that is telling you something important. But if you sit with it for a week and the excitement has already started to dim, that is telling you something equally important. Do not rush this evaluation. Capricorn is a sign that understands the value of patience, and this is one of those moments where patience is not just a virtue but a strategic advantage. The person who takes 2 weeks to make the right decision will always outperform the person who makes a fast decision based on temporary excitement. Let the options sit. Let them breathe. Let the novelty fade from all 3 of them, and then see which one is still standing in your heart when the sparkle has settled. That remaining pull, that quiet but persistent sense of "this is mine." That is the signal you are looking for. And the next section will reveal why Capricorn specifically is being asked to make this kind of deep choice right now, at this particular moment in time. Tip 5. The timing of this crossroads is not random. There is a reason why you are facing 3 options right now and not 6 months ago or 6 months from now. The current energy cycle moving through your chart is activating what some would call a maturation gateway. This is a period when the universe essentially says to you, it is time to stop building things that merely look impressive and start building things that genuinely sustain you. Every sign goes through these gateways at different times, and for Capricorn, this one is particularly significant because it is touching the deepest parts of your chart. The areas that govern your sense of home, your emotional foundation, your relationship with your own inner life. These are not the areas Capricorn typically likes to examine. Your sign is much more comfortable in the external world, setting goals, climbing mountains, achieving visible results. But this gateway is pulling you inward, and the three options in front of you are actually three different answers to an internal question you may not have consciously asked yet. That question is, what does my soul actually need to feel at home in this life? Not what does my ego need, not what does society expect. What does the deepest, most honest part of me need in order to feel genuinely settled and secure? One of your three options answers that question directly. One of them partially answers it but leaves a critical piece out. And one of them completely ignores the question and instead offers external achievement as a substitute for internal peace. The one that answers the question directly is almost certainly the one that feels the most vulnerable to choose. Because choosing based on what your soul needs rather than what your ego demands requires a level of courage that most people simply do not have. It means potentially disappointing people who expect you to keep performing at the level they are used to. It means potentially walking away from things that look successful but feel empty. It means admitting, perhaps for the first time in a long time, that you have been building some structures in your life not because you wanted them but because you did not know what else to do. That admission is not weakness. It is the beginning of the most powerful phase of your life. Because once you stop building out of habit and start building out of genuine desire, the quality of everything you create changes dramatically. The energy behind it is different. The motivation sustaining it is different. And the results, while they may take longer to materialize, carry a weight and permanence that nothing built from obligation can match. This maturation gateway will not stay open forever. The energy is strongest right now and will begin to shift in the coming weeks. That does not mean you need to make a panic decision, but it does mean that the clarity available to you today will not be this sharp indefinitely. Use it while it is here. Let it illuminate what your soul is actually asking for, and then have the courage to honor that answer, even if it surprises you. The next section addresses what happens when the people around you do not understand or support the choice your soul is guiding you toward. Tip 6. One of the hardest parts of choosing the path that builds real security is that the people closest to you may not understand why you are making that choice. This is something Capricorns struggle with more than they usually admit. Your sign carries a deep sense of responsibility toward others, and the idea of making a choice that confuses or disappoints the people you care about can feel almost unbearable. But here is the truth that this moment is asking you to accept. You cannot build genuine security on a foundation of other people's approval. If the path you choose is primarily designed to keep everyone else comfortable, it is not your path. It is theirs, and you are simply walking it on their behalf. That does not mean you should disregard the people you love. Their perspectives matter. Their concerns may contain genuine wisdom. But there is a critical difference between considering someone's input and making your decision based on their comfort level. Considering input means you listen, you reflect, you weigh their perspective alongside your own inner knowing. Making a decision based on their comfort means you surrender your internal compass and let their fears drive your life. Capricorn has a tendency toward the second pattern, especially with family members or long-term partners whose opinions carry enormous emotional weight. You have spent years, maybe decades, building a life that others count on. And the idea of making a choice that disrupts their expectations feels like a betrayal of everything you have worked to create. But think about it this way. If you choose a path that keeps everyone else comfortable but slowly drains the life out of you, what kind of foundation are you really providing? A foundation built on your own depletion is not stable. It is a ticking clock. Eventually, you will run out of energy, patience, or willingness, and the structure will fail anyway. But if you choose the path that genuinely sustains you, even if it is temporarily uncomfortable for others, you become a stronger, more present, more alive version of yourself. And that version of you is a far better foundation for the people you love than a depleted, resentful version who chose safety over truth. The people who truly love you will adjust. They may need time. They may not understand at first. But genuine love adapts. It makes room for growth even when that growth is inconvenient. And if someone in your life cannot make room for your authentic path, that tells you something important about the nature of that relationship, something that is better to know now than to discover years down the road when you have invested even more of yourself in maintaining their comfort at the expense of your own vitality. This is not about being selfish. This is about being honest. And honesty, especially the kind that disrupts comfortable patterns, is one of the bravest things a Capricorn can practice. The next section explores how to actually communicate this kind of choice to the people who matter most without creating unnecessary damage. Tip 7. Communication is where most Capricorns either succeed brilliantly or fail completely, and there is very little middle ground. Your sign has a natural authority in how you speak, a directness that people either deeply respect or find intimidating. When you are making a major life choice, how you communicate that choice to others can be just as important as the choice itself. The key principle here is this: lead with your why, not your what. When you tell someone that you are changing direction, taking a new path, or making a choice they did not expect, their first internal question is always going to be the same: why? And if you lead with the what, with the logistics and the details and the practical steps, you skip right past their emotional need to understand your motivation. That creates resistance. It makes people feel like they are being informed of a decision rather than included in your process. But when you lead with your why, when you share the internal journey that brought you to this point, something shifts. People can disagree with a decision, but they have a much harder time dismissing a genuine emotional truth. If you say something like, "I have been feeling for a long time that something important is missing, and I finally understand what it is," that opens a door. It invites empathy. It gives people something they can connect with even if they do not fully agree with your conclusion. Now, there is a balance here that matters. Leading with your why does not mean over-explaining or asking for permission. You are not presenting a case to a jury. You are sharing your truth with people you care about. There is a difference between explaining yourself and defending yourself, and Capricorns often cross that line without realizing it. When you start defending, you signal that you are not fully certain of your own choice, and that uncertainty invites others to push harder against it. But when you share without defending, when you speak from a place of quiet certainty, even if your voice trembles a little, people sense that this is real. They sense that you have thought about it deeply, that this is not a whim or an impulse but a genuine turning point. And most people, even the ones who are scared of change, will ultimately respect a turning point more than they respect endless deliberation. Another important element is timing. Do not communicate your major choice in the middle of a crisis, during a heated argument, or when the other person is dealing with their own stress. Choose a moment of relative calm. Choose a setting where you can speak without interruption, and give the other person space to have their reaction without immediately trying to manage it. Their reaction belongs to them. Your choice belongs to you. Both things can exist at the same time without one canceling out the other. For Capricorn, the temptation is always to control outcomes, including other people's emotional responses. But this is one of those moments where control is actually the enemy. Let people feel what they feel. Let the ripples settle on their own timeline. Your job is not to make everyone comfortable with your choice. Your job is to make the choice that is honest and then stand in it with as much grace as you can manage. The grace does not have to be perfect, just has to be genuine. And speaking of standing in your choice, the next section addresses the most critical period after making a decision: the days and weeks when doubt tries to pull you backward. Tip 8. The period immediately after making a major decision is the most dangerous time for a Capricorn. Not because the decision was wrong, but because doubt is loudest in the gap between choosing and seeing results. You make the choice, you commit to the path, and then nothing happens immediately. The world does not rearrange itself overnight to confirm that you made the right call. The ground does not open up beneath you to prove that you made the wrong one. There is just silence. And in that silence, your mind starts to work against you. Did I choose too quickly? Did I miss something? What if the other option was better? What if I just destroyed everything I built? These questions are not insights. They are not your intuition trying to correct a mistake. They are the natural anxiety of a mind that has committed to something it cannot yet see the full shape of. And Capricorn, with your deep need for control and predictability, is especially vulnerable to this post-decision doubt, because you are used to being able to see the entire staircase before you take the first step. But real security, the kind this crossroads is asking you to build, requires trusting yourself on a staircase where you can only see 1 or 2 steps ahead. That is not recklessness. That is faith. Not blind faith, but the kind of faith that says, I know myself well enough to trust the process even when I cannot see the destination clearly. Here is a practical strategy for surviving the doubt period. Create what you might call a decision anchor. This is a single sentence written in your own words that captures the core reason you made this choice. Not a list of pros and cons, not a logical argument, just one honest sentence that speaks to the heart of why you chose this path. Something like, I chose this because it is the only option that makes me feel whole. Or I chose this because everything else was familiar but nothing else felt alive. Write that sentence down. Put it somewhere you will see it every day. And when the doubt comes, because it will come, read that sentence. Let it remind you of the clarity you had in the moment of choosing, because that clarity was real. The doubt is just noise that fills the empty space while results are still forming beneath the surface. Another strategy is to set a review date, not a reversal date. Tell yourself that you will evaluate how you feel about this choice in 90 days, not 30, because 30 days is rarely enough time for a major decision to show its true colors. 90 days gives the choice room to breathe, room to develop, room to reveal whether the initial discomfort was growing pains or genuine misalignment. And during those 90 days, commit fully. Do not hedge. Do not keep one foot on the old path just in case. That kind of hedging guarantees that neither path gets your full energy, which guarantees that neither path can produce its best results. The whole point of choosing is to concentrate your energy. If you spread it across multiple options, you have not really chosen at all. You have just created the illusion of decision while actually remaining stuck. Commit for 90 days. Give this path everything you have. And then evaluate from a place of real experience rather than hypothetical fear. The next section will show you exactly what real security starts to feel like once you have committed fully and the early results begin to appear. Some people watch, others transform. If you want to be in the second group, the 21-day guide in the pinned comment gives you a clear step-by-step process aligned with your sign. This isn't about waiting, it's about moving. Tip 9. There is a moment that comes after you have committed to the right path, fully committed without hedging. And it is a moment that most people do not talk about because it is so quiet that you might miss it entirely if you are not paying attention. It is the moment when you realize that you feel steady. Not excited, not triumphant, not validated by external praise or visible results. Just steady, like something inside you has clicked into a position it was always meant to occupy. And the low-level anxiety that has been humming in the background of your life for months or even years has suddenly gone quiet. That steadiness is what real security feels like from the inside. It is not dramatic. It does not announce itself. There are no fireworks or celebrations. It is more like the feeling of finally exhaling after holding your breath for so long that you forgot you were holding it. And Capricorn, you have been holding your breath for longer than you realize. You have been bracing for impact, preparing for the next challenge, staying vigilant against potential threats. That vigilance has served you well in many ways. It has made you strong, resilient, capable of handling things that would break other people. But vigilance without rest is not strength, it is survival. And there is a profound difference between surviving and living. Real security is what allows you to stop surviving and start living. It is the foundation that says you do not have to brace anymore. You do not have to prepare for every possible disaster. You can put down the armor, at least some of it, and let yourself actually enjoy what you have built. This does not mean becoming careless or naive. Capricorn will never be careless, it is simply not in your nature. But there is a version of care that comes from love rather than fear. And that is the version this crossroads is inviting you to step into. Care from love looks like tending a garden because you love watching things grow. Care from fear looks like tending a garden because you are terrified of what happens if the crops fail. Both gardeners do the same work, but one of them enjoys it and the other one endures it. The path that builds real security transforms you from the second gardener into the first. It does not change what you do nearly as much as it changes why you do it. And that shift in motivation changes everything downstream. Your energy increases because you are no longer burning fuel on anxiety. Your relationships improve because you are no longer projecting fear onto the people around you. Your creativity deepens because you are no longer constraining your imagination to only safe and predictable outcomes. You start to build things that surprise even you, things that are bolder and more beautiful than anything you would have attempted from a place of mere survival. This is the version of Capricorn that the universe is trying to unlock right now. Not the version that endures, the version that thrives. And the difference between those two versions is not circumstances. It is not money or status or achievement. It is the internal shift from building out of fear to building out of love. One choice, the right choice among your three options, will catalyze that shift. The others will keep you in survival mode, maybe with better scenery, but survival mode nonetheless. And what comes next will help you understand how to maintain that shift once it begins, because the early days of genuine security can feel so unfamiliar that some Capricorns actually retreat from it out of sheer discomfort. Tip 10. One of the most counterintuitive truths about building real security is that it can feel deeply uncomfortable at first, especially for a Capricorn who has spent years or decades operating from a survival mindset. When you have been bracing for impact for that long, the absence of something to brace against does not feel like relief. Feels like vulnerability. Feels like exposure. It feels like standing in an open field when your instinct says you should be behind walls. This is why some Capricorns unconsciously sabotage their own security. Not because they do not want it, but because the feeling of having it is so unfamiliar that their nervous system interprets it as danger. They create problems where none exist. They pick fights in peaceful relationships. They overwork when they could rest. They find reasons to worry even when the evidence says everything is fine. If you recognize this pattern in yourself, please hear this clearly. That pattern is not who you are. It is a habit. It is a deeply ingrained response that developed because at some point in your life, probably early on, you learned that safety was temporary and that the only way to survive was to stay ready for the next threat. That lesson served you when you needed it. But you do not need it anymore. And the path that builds real security is also the path that gradually teaches your nervous system a new lesson, that it is safe to feel safe. This does not happen overnight. You cannot think your way into it or force it with willpower. It happens through repeated experience, through days and weeks and months of choosing the secure path and noticing, over and over again, that the ground is holding, that the walls are not closing in, that the peace you feel is not a trap but a genuine foundation. Each day that passes without catastrophe is not luck. It is evidence. Evidence that the choice you made was sound. Evidence that real security is not fragile. Evidence that you can put down the armor without being destroyed. Let that evidence accumulate. Do not dismiss it. Do not minimize it. Do not explain it away as a temporary reprieve before the next storm. Let it build the way you let everything build, one brick at a time, one day at a time, one breath at a time. Because you are a builder. That is your essence. And right now, the most important thing you can build is not a career or a fortune or a reputation. It is a deep, unshakable trust in your own ability to choose well, and to stand firmly in that choice. That trust is the real security. Everything else, the money, the relationships, the achievements, those are expressions of it. But the trust itself is the foundation. And once that foundation is solid, nothing built upon it can truly be taken from you. The storms will still come. They always do. But you will meet them differently. Not as threats to be survived, but as weather to be moved through. And there is all the difference in the world between those two experiences. What follows in the next section pulls everything together and shows you how to carry this energy forward not just for the next few days but for the rest of your life. Tip 11. Everything I have shared with you today comes down to one essential understanding, and I want to make sure it lands in the deepest part of your awareness before we reach the end of this message. The three options in front of you are not really about external circumstances. They never were. They are about three different relationships you could have with yourself going forward. One option represents continuing to relate to yourself through obligation and duty, doing what you think you are supposed to do, maintaining what others expect, keeping the machinery running because stopping feels irresponsible. There is nothing shameful about this option. It has carried you this far. But it has a ceiling, and you are pressing against that ceiling right now. You can feel it in the flatness that has crept into days that should feel meaningful, in the fatigue that does not respond to rest, in the growing sense that you are performing your life rather than living it. The second option represents relating to yourself through ambition alone, reaching for the next level not because it calls to your soul but because staying still feels like failure. This option has energy in it, and that energy can be mistaken for alignment. But ambition without soul is just another treadmill, faster and more impressive than the first one, but a treadmill nonetheless. It will keep you moving without actually taking you anywhere that matters. The third option, the one that builds real security, represents relating to yourself through wholeness. This is the option where your choices are guided not by what you should do or what you could achieve, but by what makes you genuinely complete. It is the option that honors all of you. your strength and your softness, your ambition and your need for rest, your desire to build and your need to simply be. Wholeness does not mean perfection. It means integration. It means no part of you has to be hidden or suppressed or sacrificed for the sake of the plan. It means the gardener and the architect and the dreamer and the practical realist inside you all have a seat at the table. And when all those parts of you are honored, the decisions you make carry a kind of power that fragmented decisions simply cannot match. This is not abstract philosophy. This is the most practical insight I can offer you. Because when you make choices from wholeness, you do not second-guess them. When you build from wholeness, you do not burn out. When you love from wholeness, you do not lose yourself. And when you face difficulty from wholeness, you do not break. You bend, you adapt, you learn, and you keep building. That is what real security looks like in motion. Not a fortress that keeps everything out, but a flexibility that can withstand anything. Not rigid walls, but deep roots. Not armor, but resilience. You already have everything you need to make this choice. You have the wisdom, the experience, the courage, and the self-knowledge. What you may not have had until now is permission. Permission to choose based on wholeness rather than obligation. Permission to honor the part of you that is tired of performing and ready to start living. Permission to build something that is truly yours, not a version of what someone else designed and handed to you. Consider this your permission, not from me because it was never mine to give, but from the deepest part of yourself that has been waiting quietly for you to stop long enough to hear what it has been trying to tell you all along. The right option is not the one that looks the most impressive. It is the one that feels the most whole. Choose that, and the security you have been searching for will not be something you build. It will be something you become. Right now, somewhere inside you, there is a quiet knowing. It has been there throughout this entire message, growing louder with each section, nodding along with the words that hit closest to home. That knowing is not wishful thinking. It is not optimism or naivety. It is the earned wisdom of someone who has lived enough life to recognize truth when they hear it. You are a Capricorn. You have climbed mountains that other people could not even imagine. You have endured seasons that would have broken anyone without your particular kind of strength. And now you stand at a crossroads that is not asking you to climb another mountain or endure another test. It is asking you something far more radical. It is asking you to choose yourself. Not the version of yourself that other people need. Not the version that keeps everything running smoothly. The real you. The one beneath the roles and the responsibilities and the carefully constructed exterior. That person has dreams that have been deferred, needs that have been dismissed, and a vision for their life that has been filed away under someday for far too long. Someday is here. It arrived quietly without fanfare, disguised as 3 options and a sense of restlessness. But do not let the quiet arrival fool you. This is one of the most significant crossroads you will face, and the choice you make here will shape everything that follows. Not just the external circumstances of your life, but the internal landscape of who you are becoming. Choose the path of wholeness. Choose the option that strengthens your emotional foundation, deepens your most important relationships, and gives you a reason to wake up with genuine anticipation rather than mere determination. Choose the one that feels alive even when it feels uncertain. Choose the one that scares you slightly because it asks you to be more honest than you have been in a long time. That is your path. And the security it builds will not be the fragile, conditional kind that depends on everything going right. It will be the deep, rooted, unshakable kind that holds steady no matter what the world throws at you. Because it is not built on circumstances. It is built on you. On the most authentic, most courageous, most whole version of you that has ever existed. That version is not somewhere in the future. It is right here, right now, waiting for your permission to step forward. Give it that permission. And then watch what happens when a Capricorn stops surviving and starts truly living. The mountains will still be there. But for the first time you will climb them not because you have to, but because you want to. And that will make all the difference. You have 2 options after this video. Close it and hope things shift. Or decide that the next 21 days will be different. If you choose the second, the structured 21-day transformation aligned with your sign is waiting in the pinned comment. The energy is already moving, the only question is whether you are.